Johnny3 and you will get $3 off your first eSIM purchase. This is a cool product. I'm very excited about it. If it's interesting to you, you can do two things. Go to try.airalo.com/JohnnyHarris and sign up and download the app. This will allow you to quickly buy an eSIM next time you land in some other country or before you go. eSIMs are game changers when you're traveling. I'm very happy Airalo exists, and I'm very grateful that they sponsored today's video. With that, let's dive back into this history. Okay, so Max has sufficiently convinced me that countries aren't real, that they're made up in our minds, and that France was not a real country until recently. So I've been looking into what happens next, trying to answer this question of when does France start to look like the France of today? The first thing I thought of here was the French Revolution, the late 1700s. What looks more like national spirit than a bunch of people rising up together to overthrow their king?
Let them eat cake.
But it turns out that we're not even close. People at this time still basically didn't speak French. They didn't share some French identity. In fact, the French Revolution can kind of be seen as the start of the long road of building a French identity. The process of a bunch of fractured communities unifying under one story. This revolution embodied a fairly new idea, that the government actually derives its legitimacy not from God or some other natural right, but from the people themselves. That all of these people were not royal subjects, but rather citizens. That this country was theirs, which turned all of this land, at least in their minds, into a new kind of thing. The soil that they came from and owned together. But listen, this is all still really abstract in people's minds. It's like a very new idea, and it would remain so until this guy came around. Napoleon Bonaparte advanced the process of turning France into France, perhaps more than any other French person. Remember how France looked like this? Well, Napoleon started to make it look a lot more like this. He rallied the people around this new idea of patriotism, complete with symbols and songs and art that emphasized French greatness, the idea that we all belong to one giant tribe. This idea was further cemented when Napoleon recruited men from all around this country to come join his army, to fight for France, giving them the sense that they were all joined in a glorious national fight, and in the process, spreading that nationalistic idea all throughout Europe. Napoleon did something else that was very important, and you can see it in this painting. Instead of pledging loyalty to the Pope, as European kings had always done, here he is crowning himself. The Catholic Church at this time had been declining in power, and Napoleon was sidelining it in favor of himself, his imperial cult of personality. This was a pretty smooth power play, but it also helped shift people's sense of loyalty away from religion and towards their nation. By the end of his reign, Napoleon's France was pretty unrecognizable from those scattered, loosely connected kingdoms that had dominated this land for many, many years. It was looking a lot more like one thing, like a country. Okay, but there was still a lot more to do before France became as unified as we think of it today. The revolution eventually faltered, these Napoleonic wars didn't really work out, but then something bigger happened. Industrialization. What Napoleon and others previously had done had helped unify France kind of mentally, psychologically. But what industrialization does is it unites it physically with iron and concrete. Here come all these factories and